Morning. Y'all, I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, and I've seen a lot of changes in the lawnmower field, and most of them are for the good. When they come out with YouTube and the ability to buy lawnmower parts online, they've made a lot of changes in this. You can go to YouTube, and a lot of times you can find exactly what you need to know. I go to YouTube myself and freshen up if I miss something on a repair. That being said, this morning we're going to touch on compression. It takes three things for a lawnmower to crank. It takes fire, which comes from your coil and your spark plug. It takes compression, which comes from your short block. And it takes fuel, which comes from your carburetor. Now that being said, we're going to run a compression test on this motor this morning and see what it reads. Now compression is just like your high school grade, real simple. It takes 60 pounds of compression to crank a motor, but there again, that's a D. 70 is a C, 80 is a B, and 100 is an A, and above is an A plus. You know, that's just a rule of thumb. I use it, and it stands pretty good to evaluate a motor. I don't like to run a compression test on these motors until I spin them over and get some lubrication, some oil up inside the cylinder walls. It's just good practice. Y'all, that's long enough. Now we're going to put the compression gauge in. The compression gauge goes in the hole that the spark plug come out of, real easy. All right, there we go. Now we're going to turn it over. All right, that one checked out good. I'm going to let y'all look at it. All right, the compression on this little motor right here was about 145. You see that? Y'all, that's almost like new. This little motor right here hasn't been run much. And that's the way you grade out your compression on your motor. That's one of the most important things on a motor running and performing good. Well, I've got a little bit of time. I want to touch on something, a little bit of a burr under my saddle. I'm seeing a lot of people spray starting ether fluid in the carburetor to crank them up. Y'all, that's not good. When you do that, these motors will crank most of the time on the first compression stroke. If they crank on the first compression stroke, the motor ain't got any lubrication in it, and it'll scar up the cylinder walls and do some damage on the valves and everything. Don't do that. If you're gonna use starter fluid or ether or something like that, turn it over like we did right here on this. Give that motor some lubrication in there before you put the ether in there. I don't like putting ether in them anyway. Raw gas right here in the throat of the carburetor, y'all, that's just good enough. It'll turn over several times before it'll crank, and that gives that motor time to get some lubrication in it. Okay, that's your one-on-one on motors this morning. Appreciate y'all. Later.